you are starting your new homeschool year, or you're in the middle of the homeschool year and you want to get focused. You want to focus on the things that are most important for your child, because you realize you only have a certain amount of time to do what you need to do as a parent before they are an adult and those foundations are laid. This video, I'm going to take some time to kind of walk you through some ways that you can get focused. This is your way of you getting yourself focused on what's important in your household. So I'm going to start by saying, and you're going to hear this over and over and over again, is to write down your homeschool goals. And let's get this narrowed down a little bit. You don't just want to write a goal and post it on the wall because, that's what everybody says to do. But let's look at this, okay? First, just get a piece of paper out and go at it. Just write down all your reasons why you're homeschooling and find one main goal. With everything that you've learned in your life, everything that you've experienced, everything that you believe in, your faith, what is your main reason for homeschooling? And what is that one thing you want to instill in your kids? Like the purpose behind purpose, right? And for, of course, a lot of us that are believers, we want to raise children that fear the Lord and know the Lord. And that may be your reason, and it may not be your reason. But whatever your reason is, you write that down. And then understand why you want that to be the main reason. And then how are you going to achieve that? And that this is not one-time sitting. This is this is a thought, and you have to keep going over this as the year progresses. Am I trying to maintain my main goal? Am I achieving it? My house, am I touching up on my house? Do I need to change this up a little bit? Verbally process these things with your spouse a lot. And also tell your kids, look, I am homeschooling, or we are homeschooling because of this reason. Now how, and even brainstorm, the older kids love to brainstorm with you. How are we going to achieve this? What are we going to do as a family to help you maintain these goals? So, you want a main goal, and then you want secondary goals. You got a big one, and then you got secondary goals, and you want the same for both, the same process with both. Why are you doing it, and how are you doing it? And verbally processing and discussing with your spouse and your kids. Talk it through. Have it written down somewhere, and then revisit it constantly over the year. Then after you have those things down and you've discussed this with your kids, so now they have responsibilities, you need to take on some accountability with yourself and do it with your spouse, or even an accountability group. What are you going to do now as a parent to be a better parent? What are you going to do? Is it maybe you want to research more parenting books by certain authors. Maybe you want to dig deeper into scripture and really understand why you were doing what you're doing. Or maybe you have a struggle in your life that is hard. For example, anger management. I think anger management is huge for a parent. When we have kids, it's really easy to get angry, and that sin likes to pop up a lot, okay? And it's like looking in the mirror sometimes. They're just reflecting back to you what your sin is, and you see it. So anger. Anger's a big one. So maybe you want to target that this year and just really work on your anger as a parent. Anything. Just find something that you want to work on, and it can change and progress through the years. Maybe you're wanting to study more about the history of education and understanding the patterns through history and how not to fall into those patterns. These are all really good things. And of course, you want to discuss this with your spouse, wife. You want to discuss these things, share these things, what's on your heart, and have them hold you accountable to it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is curriculum, because after you have all those things established, you're going to have to pick out curriculum for your kids. In reality, there is so much homeschool curriculum out there. I've talked to homeschoolers, parents that homeschooled in the 80s, and they're like, we had Abeka and BJU and the Bible. That's it. That's it. That's your choices. Now, we have everything under the sun because everybody has some kind of opinion on how to educate their kids. Somebody has some kind of expertise that they want to write a book about. and a curriculum about, and they're going to sell it to you. You're going to find people who really, really, really love a specific curriculum and they think it's the best in the world. You're actually going to have a lot of that, right? And the problem as a parent, if we just jump right into that curriculum zoo and we see all these people going, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy this, we're like, I want it all. And if I don't have it all, I'm missing something. What am I missing? Because everybody has an opinion and everybody's trying to sell you their curriculum. And you know what? The reality is you are individually different and you are unique and you are going to have a certain style and you are going to have a reason for your style and you are going to click with certain people and you're not going to click with certain people. So here's what I do. And this is going to apply to you too. Okay. I promise. All right. Okay. YouTube is huge. Social media is huge. I do this because I know there's a lot of you out there that really click with me and the way that I think and my style and how I want to get deeper. I mean, I've read your comments, but there are a lot of people that don't click with me and my style, but there's somebody out there that does. The point is if you're really big into YouTube and social media, it's good to find an influencer that you click with and you connect with and look at the way they homeschool and try to learn from them. That's one thing that you can do. Another thing, because what I was going to say is they actually will share with you the curriculum that they use. And that can be a good stepping stone for you. Now, I like to do this. This is my method of picking out curriculum. Okay, in the beginning, it was just, I'm going to pick the curriculum that I hear about because I don't know what I'm doing in the beginning. And that's kind of what I did. So then I start to look at curriculum. And I don't just open the book and start looking through the curriculum. I do that. But I look at the people who wrote the curriculum. And if I find that I click with those people, because if I click with the curriculum writers and I have the same kind of faith, I have the same kind of drive, the same kind of style with them, and I find that they're relatable, their curriculum's going to work. Their curriculum's going to work for me as a teacher. So for me, okay, my example, my big thing is faith-based. I want my kids to know who the Lord is. When I'm looking at the authors, there has been some times that there has been really good curriculum out there. That's amazing. It's so effective. Okay, right? They learn how to read. They learn how to write. They knew how to do spelling. They're hitting all of those academic markers. It gets the job done. But faith-wise, the people who wrote the curriculum, I don't necessarily agree. Find the curriculum, then find out about the writer. So, for example, for us, Fulbright, with Apologia, with the elementary science. And I'm like, I agree with ABC. Everything she says, I'm like right there. Yes, right, okay. I love Apologia. I've used it for years. I've taught at homeschool co-ops, middle school, elementary science, and I use Apologia. I'll dig into a little bit of Answers in Genesis, but I always come back to Apologia. I just love it because I love her and I agree with her. Another example is Andrew Pudewa. When it comes to writing and the rhetoric side of things, there's so much that I agree with him. And there's also, for us, Dr. Jason Lyle, who I kind of joke around. He's written Stargazer's Guide to the Galaxy and a logic curriculum for homeschoolers. But I joke around and I like to say he's kind of like a family mentor and keeps us accountable because he's very bold in what he believes. And he doesn't shy away from the Word of God. He's very to the point, and I respect that about him. And so because of that, I don't mind bringing his stuff into my household. So do you see what I'm saying? Like the curriculum writer, if you know who they are and know where they stand, you know that curriculum is going to work for you and your family. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of curriculum out there. I won't even look at the curriculum because I know about the author's foundation and what foundational beliefs. And it doesn't gel with mine. It just doesn't. So that's how it may work for somebody else though. It may completely work for somebody else. Another concern that I do have as a homeschool parent is not just about the curriculum. It's what's placed in front of our children's faces. And that could be anywhere from social media, which hopefully not many of your kids, but when you get to high school, a lot of the kids will get on social media, but television, video games, Roblox, Minecraft, and then also their friends who they're hanging out with. and communicating. So those are big influences in their lives. And if it goes against your family priorities, or if you think that that's going to teach them something in opposition of your family priorities, that needs to go. Okay, so there are many, many television shows that I am not too keen on, and I will not let my kids watch that. And I let them know. There are many video games out there that I don't want my kids to be involved with. There's some that I've kind of allowed them on, but with moderation and with monitoring. There are friends that my kids have come in contact with that I'm just like, nope, we have nothing to do with that person. But it's more of, when it comes to the friends thing is very difficult because you don't want to cut them off from their friends, but hopefully you've laid a good foundation down where you can say, is that person somebody that's healthy to be around? Is this a good, healthy, non-toxic relationship? And I did have a situation with my kids where there was a person in their life that I felt was very toxic. And after speaking to them about a lot of different things, they themselves actually severed the relationship and friendship. So that does come from a place of family values and strength and that kind of stuff. So those are just some of the things that, of course I gave you the stuff that you can do to kickstart everything, but then it just kind of feeds, and everything kind of feeds back into your main goals and your main focus. The hardest thing that we are going to run into is that fear of missing out. Your friend is talking, and even on social media, oh, this is the best curriculum in the world, you gotta buy it, and it works so great with that person. And just because they said all those, it's like a salesperson on the door, like they're trying to sell you a vacuum cleaner. They're saying all these wonderful things and how much you need it and how important it is, that sometimes we forget the main reason why we're homeschooling in the first place. Another thing that we have to be aware of, especially this day and age, is that we ourselves were trained a certain way. And our reasons for homeschooling may go against all of that. Okay? For example, I was raised in the public school system. I was trained to be a teacher in the public school system. When my eyes were opened to the reality of what all of that was, I was like, I'm done. It was like this shedding and repentance, and deschooling is what some people like to call it. I don't want to have anything to do with any of that anymore. I want to have a life devoted to the Lord, and I want my kids to know who He is. But the hard part is there's little things that keep inching in to my home just because in my mind it's justifiable, or, it's okay. It's okay if we do this. It's okay if I focus on this a little bit more. And my motivations behind it may be wrong because that's the way that I was raised and that's the way that I was taught. So academics aren't everything, but in the public school system setting, it is. And this is one of my little pet peeves. I've talked about this probably in another video earlier, but high school graduation. So when I graduated high school, you immediately go to college. A lot of people are going like across the state or across the nation to different colleges. At your high school graduation, such a big deal is made out of where you're going to school, right? You're going up to Harvard, like people are going to clap more. That's like a big accomplishment. And a lot of high schools will announce that in front of everyone. And so there's this ultimate goal of getting into the best college. But what is the best college? Is it the best college for you? Is it the best college for your career? There were so many of us that went to college, we didn't know what we did, and we're trying to figure out what we want to be when we grow up while we're in college. And then we end up with a liberal arts degree, for example, or a degree that is not anywhere where our career is. And I mean, to be honest, half of those degrees you don't even need. You didn't even need that time. It was just a finding yourself time. But was that necessary? Now that you look back, was that something that you want your kids to go through? Think about that. Are we taking some of that hype for graduation and hype for getting into a college that we learned when we were young from our parents and from society and pushing it on our kids because that's what we experience, that's just normal, instead of thinking, wait, hold on, maybe it's more important for our kids to kind of stay with us in our homes. I have a friend who's Ukrainian, brought that up. She doesn't understand why we just kick our kids out of the house in America. It doesn't make sense to her. You work together as a family. You stay together as a family unit. You know, if there's a child that needs, you know, a kid with a disability, one of the older kids can take care of that. You know, you work outside the home, help pay for the home. You know, and when you are ready, then move outside of the house. The thing is, are your goals aligned with everything that you do? There should be intention behind everything that you do. And we have to, even those little things that we don't even recognize, we need to pay attention to those things. Another one that I like to think of is dances, high school dances. You know, it's great. It's a social environment. They get to be around other kids. Everybody else is doing it. Does it align with your goals? Also, this pressure to get straight A's, right? In academic, maybe your child is not built to be a mathematician, you know, and those people that are mathematicians may not be built to be good writers yet. I think writing and articulating and rhetoric is very important, but maybe that's not their strong suit. Maybe their strong suit is figuring out math problems and glorifying the Lord through that way, you know, those kind of things. We want to make sure that we're keeping everything aligned to our main reasons why we're homeschooling and not letting those outside things, these things that we don't even recognize, infiltrate our main reasons. We need to make a separation. And we need to get people around us that can support that. Similar minds is what I'm trying to say. Similar minds around us. So hopefully that kind of helps you figure out and get yourself kick-started into wherever you are, beginning of the school year, middle of school year, end of the year, school year. I know I'm releasing this like before school starts, but maybe revisit this video and think about these things later in the year. Keep revisiting it and keep reevaluating yourself. And check yourself off. Are you doing a good job keeping up with it? What can you do more to attain those goals? Is there anything you can do? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just trusting the Lord. But you know what the best part about all of this, especially if you're coming from a Christian biblical perspective, is that everything's in His hands. Everything's in His hands. So when you stumble and when you fall, you just trust Him that He's going to help you, because He's the one that placed these goals in your heart in the first place. So He's going to help you maintain them and He'll help you draw closer to them. So just throwing that out there for you guys to kind of think about. And that's it. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. And I'll talk to all of you later.